For sure, the financial crisis has hit the southern countries in Europe hardest. Banking systems have failed and so on. But what we found is that the mechanisms of inequality driven by finance are at work all the way through Europe. It's both because speculative finance is increasing the wealth of the 1%. Often, the large institutions have been failing and imposing the costs of their failure on the broad mass of citizens, especially workers and the poor. And then in addition, as employment dries up, people who are needy of income and small business are forced to turn more and more to credit to make ends meet. That credit is often very expensive, very high risk, and it puts people in a difficult situation. It is a society problem, the fact that the banks are so intertwined in all aspects of social life and in the economy. In fact, one of the problems is precisely that these large institutions and the shadow banks that they're related to and the pension funds and others involved always make the argument that there are no alternatives. They must be saved because if they are not, the system will fail. The fact is, though, that we have to redefine what is banking, what are the core functions that they're supposed to perform, and to hold them accountable and to find transitions toward more sensible, less speculative finance that doesn't extract surplus from people at the bottom of the income pyramid. We don't see leaders right now who are capable of speaking honestly about the situation, partly because they are part of the system that has become distorted. In the UK, for example, Cameron and Osborne, the leaders, can say that the only key source of growth in the UK economy is the financial sector. That is true because that sector alone is growing and growing its incomes while it's starving the remainder of the UK economy of credit and jobs. The manufacturing is something they're no longer financing. So we see in Europe generally there's a fear about being honest about the fact that these large institutions in particular are not only too big to fail, they're too big to save, but that doesn't mean that they're too big to reform. At this point, we don't have the political honesty on the part of our leaders to raise those questions in public debate. And so citizens feel alienated from the banking system and from the issues of finance, rather than feeling that this is an area in which empowerment is possible and in which the people's voice can make a difference. And the UKIP initiative in particular has the fantasy that essentially they can cut all the ties to Europe and ride a circle of prosperity with an independent an independent Britain. What they fail to see is that the only industrial enterprise going these days in Britain that is self-sustaining is the financial sector, and it's not interested in British industry. The kinds of jobs that Nigel Farage and the others remember and talk about and promise for the British people are not jobs that the UK financial industry is interested in financing anymore.